Hey, hey, hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. Next time someone says, I don't deserve you, ask them to sign a promissory note. Today on rSpace, if you plot to take advantage of someone, expect consequences, especially when your plan is so obvious your partner can make a spreadsheet. Girlfriend cheated and tried to scam me, found out the truth at the right time and ruined her life. You know what? Sometimes someone would swear on loving you, care for you, kiss you goodnight, and at the same time be plotting to use you. That someone was my girlfriend, by the way. The thing that broke me wasn't just that she cheated on me, but she was laughing about making a fool out of me. She was so convinced that I would never find this out. In fact, for the longest time, she was right. I didn't notice. It happened a while ago. I needed to process it before talking about it. I, 29 male, work in tech sales. For those who don't know, tech sales is one of those jobs where your whole life can change in a single day. If a client signs a big contract, you're on top of the world. Commissions flow like water, your manager becomes your PR, and you feel untouchable. If a client backs out, you're scrambling, stressed, questioning everything. It's high stakes, unpredictable, and it eats your time alive. It's not the best of the jobs, but pays you really well. And for me, every dollar mattered because I knew what it took to get there. Every dime made is actually earned. My job is to visit the prospective client company, give them a demo of the software, clear their doubts, and actually push them to close the deal. Since I work for global clients, my days are really long. Early morning calls with clients in Europe, late night check-ins with customers in Japan. I travel a lot, often skip meals, and crash in hotel rooms more often than I'd like to admit. Every deal, every late night, every will circle back next quarter that I had to swallow, it all built this life I was living. I never had a long-term relationship because of my work. None of it lasted more than a few months. My past girlfriends would always complain about my busy schedule. They wanted my time. A lot. And I had limited ones. Things didn't work out and they would end it, but I was not played or cheated before. Eventually, I had stopped trying. And then I met Lena. That's not her real name, obviously, at a co-working cafe. She was waiting tables there part-time, and I was fine-tuning a pitch deck for the third time that week. She leaned over at one point and said with a smirk, "You know, if you stare at that deck any harder, it might pitch itself." I laughed. It was such a silly line, but it cut through my stress like a knife. We started talking. She was an undergrad student at the nearby college, was smart and witty, had opinions, pretty sharp ones, and wasn't afraid to challenge me. I told her, most people just parrot headlines, but you've clearly thought this through. She grinned. "That's because I'm smarter than most people." She was articulate, and she made me laugh. That's all they need to fool you, don't they? We exchanged numbers, and that night I went home thinking this could be something real. Until I found out the truth. Things were incredible. She was attentive. She actually listened. Rare qualities you find in women who only want to talk. Besides, she never complained about my busy schedule. Said she gets it. Work needs commitment. For someone like me, whose relationship has failed because of work, I found this to be a blessing. She was curious about my work, but not in a shallow way. She texted me things like, "What was the toughest call you had today?" instead of a generic, "How was your day?" I felt seen and heard. Being so involved in my work life, she easily switched to asking about my bonuses, my commission structure. It was subtle at the beginning. She laughed as she said it, like it was just a passing joke. "You must be making a killing with all these deals, huh?" I brushed it off. Then during casual dinner, she drops, "So, be honest, what kind of bonuses do you get for closing those big deals?" I raised an eyebrow. "Why do you want to know?" She giggles. "Oh, come on, I'm just curious. You're always rushing off these calls. What's the reward? You must be pulling in insane numbers." If I pushed back, she would say, "I need the info to plan my career, to see if it's worth the shot." I figured everyone else asked about money sometimes, and honestly, it felt flattering that she seemed proud of me. But once she opened that door, it never really closed. She started asking more often, about my rent, about commissions, about how much a single deal could earn me. I told myself it was normal curiosity. Looking back, that's where her manipulation really took root. The first time, it was rent. 2 to 3 months of knowing her, she came to me looking stressed. "My paycheck is delayed, and the rent is overdue. The landlord is chasing me." I didn't think twice and pitched in. She said she would return once the paycheck hits. She did try to repay it, but this is how. Do you need that money right now? Actually, I was thinking to get a website subscription this month. I need it for a project. Is that okay if I return it to you next month?" I gladly nodded. Next month never came. She always had something or other lined up. Then, the next move. It was 2 days after I closed a big deal. A commission had just hit my account, and she showed up at my apartment looking upset. "Babe, I don't know what to do. My scholarship didn't cover this semester's fees, and the payment deadline is tomorrow. If I don't pay, I'll get locked out of classes." I frowned at her. "Tomorrow? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" She started sniffing. "I thought I could figure it out, but I can't. And if I miss this, it'll ruin my whole degree." Without hesitation, I said, "Don't stress. I'll cover it. Your studies are important." She hugged me, whispering, "I don't deserve you." And I felt like a hero. We were officially dating for 5 months when she brought up moving in together. "You know, my rent's killing me, and for what? This tiny place with a leaky bathroom and noisy neighbors?" I shrugged. "Yeah, it's not great, but at least it's close to campus." And yeah, before this talk, I had already paid her rent twice because her paycheck was delayed as the cafe owner was out of town. She pitched, I'm spending so much money on rent when I'm spending most of my time at your place. I'm using mine only to keep my stuff." Honestly, I hesitated. Living together was a big step. I asked her if she was sure ready for that. She whispered, "We can split the bills. You know, I can cook and clean for you. You won't even notice the difference except you'll have me here all the time." I caved. She was ecstatic, kissing me like I'd just proposed. She moved in the next day and soon the promises vanished. The cooking got rare, cleaning became minimal, and bills, oh boy, eventually in a few months, fell on me. Rent, utilities, groceries, everything on me. She would either complain that her shift hours got reduced as the cafe was running at a loss, or she had semester projects to finish. Hence, she couldn't put in enough hours. It was all a lie. Later I found out that she had requested the manager to give her fewer shifts. She did these so methodically over weeks and months that I never suspected a thing. Then one day, she came home crying that the cafe owner tried to make advances towards her, and when she didn't entertain him, he misbehaved and fired her. Again, another lie. She was fired because she was found scrolling her phone multiple times during her shift hours. I asked her to focus on her studies and I would cover her until she graduates. That meant I was covering rent, groceries, utilities, her credit cards. She promised to step up when she gets a full-time job after the semester. I never doubted her intention. After all, she was an independent woman before I came into her life. And every time, she thanked me with tears in her eyes, saying, "I don't know what I'd do without you." Then, right after my quarterly bonus, her phone died. She came to me crying, "My phone just won't turn on. I can't call my professors. I can't email anyone. How am I supposed to do my coursework?" I calmed her down. "Okay, relax. We'll figure it out. I'll take you to the Apple store." She brightened instantly, and by the end of the night, she had the latest iPhone. A few months later came the MacBook. I'll never forget the timing. The morning after I got my biggest commission check of the year, she called me in a trembling voice. "I lost my laptop. I was working in the cafeteria and then went to take a loo. When I came back, it wasn't there. My thesis is due in 2 weeks. If I don't finish, I'm screwed." I hesitated. Something in me felt off. I asked her, "How could it just vanish? Did you check the camera or ask the staff?" She said the spot was not camera covered, and she checked with everyone, but no one saw who took it. She started sobbing. By the afternoon, she had a brand new MacBook Pro in her backpack. At the time, I told myself it was all bad luck. It's just a series of coincidences. Now I can see it clearly. She had studied my pay cycles better than I had. Every crisis landed perfectly on payday or after a bonus. I thought I was being a good partner. Whenever I got a commission, something in her world broke. My bonus would hit and suddenly her class fee doubled or some unexpected subscription popped up. When we went out, she would unapologetically order the most expensive food and drink on the menu without thinking twice. She won't go to a local place, it has to be high-end. Claim that she was raised this way. Her father has given her this lifestyle. I asked why she had student debt. If her parents are well off, why aren't they paying for her college? She said she was an independent woman, hence didn't take help from him. If I took her shopping, she would buy the high-end designer shoes and bags. To be honest, I didn't see it that way. I was happy to spoil my girl. That's why you hustle, right? To keep your family happy? Fast forward to a month ago. One afternoon, I had a rare break. One of the client meetings got canceled and there was nothing lined up for the whole day. I decided to surprise her. Picked up her favorite overpriced sushi, spicy tuna rolls, and shrimp tempura, and drove across the city. I remember walking down the hall smiling, thinking how happy she'd be. As I got closer to the door, I heard loud laughs coming from my apartment. At first, she had friends over. She always has. Friends who would drink and eat from my fridge. The food for which only I paid, but I never mind feeding those broke students. I make enough and those few bucks didn't matter. We usually kept the door open when we have people because the living room gets hot. No big deal. Right. But then I heard my name and I stopped to listen. Lena was sharing something about me. Didn't catch the full context, but she ended with, "What a pussy." Her friend chuckled, "You've got him totally wrapped around your finger." Another laughed, mocking me, saying, "You're milking the tech guy for all he's worth." And then Lena giggled, "He's so easy. I've got him paying for everything. He'll never figure it out." My stomach dropped. I froze with the sushi bag dangling in my hand. I should have stormed in, yelled and demanded answers. I didn't. I stopped. Instead, I pulled out my phone and hit record. 10 minutes of her mocking me, describing how she manipulated me, laughing about the gifts and the money. I also got to know that she was cheating on me with a guy named Tom. He was the same guy whom she claimed to be her ex. When I finally walked back to my car, I could barely breathe. But instead of exploding, I made a choice. I wasn't going to confront her right away. I knew exactly what I had to do. The next morning, I booked an appointment with a lawyer. I laid everything out. How much money I had poured into her tuition, her devices, her living expenses, her credit cards, the rent. The lawyer didn't even blink and said, "You can absolutely pursue damages. Start by listing every single expense with dates and proof." That night, I sat at my desk, combing through bank statements, credit card bills, receipts, and transaction histories. Every Apple Store receipt, every Venmo transfer, every time I covered her rent. By the time I was done, the total was almost $37,000. My stomach turned as I stared at that number. She'd practically robbed me in plain sight. Meanwhile, my lawyer drafted the official notice to reclaim the money she owed me. I carefully planned a date to get her sued. Her semester payment date was near, and I had to make the payment. I wanted to destroy her, so I wanted to sue her until the last moment so she would be scrambling to arrange the fees. I also avoided her in bed all this while, dodged it saying I was tired and not in the mood. She didn't push. While I was preparing for my revenge, she told me that she would be visiting her parents this weekend. I smiled and said, "Have fun." As if fate wanted me to, she left her laptop at home. It was locked. I tried a few guesses. Her birthday, her pet's name, the usual. Nothing worked. I remember I had an old buddy in IT who could have helped me. I called and explained it to him. He didn't even hesitate. "Bring it over. I'll get you in." He wasn't lying. Within an hour, he'd bypassed the lock screen and I was in her inbox. And what I saw on that laptop destroyed me and freed me all at once. There were folders of pictures, recent ones of her with her so-called abusive ex, smiling, hugging on trips. Even ones from the same night she told me she was stuck at a study group. She used to spend 2 to 3 nights a week with her study group prepping for the semester. She wasn't studying. She was shacking up with him 3 nights a week. The same ex she had told me was abusive. That's the story she fed me early on, complete with crocodile tears and dramatic pauses. She said she left him because he was controlling, cruel, the kind of guy who ruined her self-esteem. I remember holding her as she cried about it, swearing I'd never treat her that way. What a loser I was. The lies went even deeper. There were chat logs with her girlfriends where she openly bragged about bleeding me dry, screenshots of my pay stubs I'd sent her when she asked me to help with her budget, notes about what she wanted next, a new iPhone, a new MacBook, an iPad. She had literally timed those requests with my paydays and bonuses, and sure enough, each time she cried about her device breaking down, it was the exact day money hit my account. On one chat log, she told her friend, "Moving in with him was the best decision. Now I don't waste money on rent, and he even cooks. All I gotta do is pretend to be sweet, and he thinks I'm the one struggling." Another instance, she had written, "Girls, I'm working on getting him to propose. Once he puts a ring on my finger, it's game over. If I get bored, I'll just divorce him and walk away with half his stuff." And suddenly, every accidental hint made sense. The Pinterest boards of engagement rings she'd left open on her laptop, the "haha, you made such a great husband" comments she dropped every other week, the way she'd start casually saying, "our future home." She wasn't dreaming, she was plotting. That laptop turned out to be a goldmine of truth, and while it broke me to read it, it also gave me clarity. I wasn't the clueless, love-struck guy anymore. When she came back, and I played the perfect clueless boyfriend, I smiled at her hints, nodded when she talked about the future, kissed her goodnight like nothing was wrong. By the way, she didn't go to her parents, she was effing with her ex in his garage. They were also planning another trip the following week to the nearby beach town. Around the same time, I planned to sue her as it collided with the date of her semester tuition. The day leading up to the trip, she constantly nudged for the tuition, saying the last day is approaching. "Let me know if you can't pay it. I'll arrange. I'll ask my dad to pay." I told her my commission payout is delayed, but assured her that it would hit before the deadline and she shouldn't worry about it. The day before the trip, she came to me with a stressed face. "You know, our project is running behind schedule. I would need the whole weekend with my peer group to bring it to speed. Hope you don't mind." I smiled and hugged. "No, not at all. Knock it off." Even kissed her goodbye when she left. The second she was gone, I went to work. called my landlord, explained everything, and had her name struck from the lease. Her key fob access to the building was canceled. I changed the locks on my apartment. Then I carefully packed up all the stuff I had gifted her, bags, jewelry, designer clothes, and set it aside. The items that she had brought went into boxes and sent to the storage. Paid for 3 days of storage and instructed them to contact her for further payment and take it out. And just to protect myself from any lies later, I recorded the entire process on video, sealed all the boxes, listed down all the items in each box so that there was no room for her to claim I'd stolen or destroyed anything. It was Monday morning when she came back from her little beach getaway. Everything came crashing down. She walked up to the building, but her key fob wouldn't work. She tried calling me, but her number was blocked. Having nowhere to go, she went to college. Then, during her class hours, right on cue, a courier handed her an envelope with my lawyer's notice, demanding repayment of $37,000 for all the expenses I had covered. She panicked and tried emailing me, begging to talk. I didn't respond. Took satisfaction in seeing her panic. A part of me wanted to sit and confront her, but I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of closure. She should spend days and nights figuring out how it cracked and what went wrong. She tried to call me from her friend's number, but I avoided calls from all unknown numbers. If I happened to pick up by mistake, she sounded desperate from the other end. "Please talk to me once. I can explain." I would hang up immediately. She even got her mother to call me, sobbing on the phone saying, "Please don't ruin my daughter's future. She made mistakes, but this will destroy her career." I replied, "Why can't you help? She told me you guys were rich." She sobbed that Lena had lost her father at a young age, and since then, she was never able to come to terms with the loss. She'd never once admitted he was gone. I don't know the right term for that was. She was delusional. I didn't flinch. Asked her to get a psychologist for her daughter in that case. She cried that she was a single mother and went through a lot to raise Lena, and I shouldn't ruin her career. I told her straight. Every communication goes through my lawyer now. And that was it. She and her mother came to my lawyer and asked for time. Said the money was huge for them and they needed time. Her mother submitted the MacBook and iPhone to reduce the amount. After accounting for the designer bags, shoes, and clothes I had confiscated, the amount came to be about $18,000, which I had paid for her rent and tuition. Her mother promised to pay it in installments. Lena had to drop out of college and had taken up a rigorous sales job to make ends meet and pay my debt. Whenever I feel pity, I play the recording, and everything makes sense. She got what she deserved. Now she'll think a million times before cheating and playing a guy. Let's call it what it is. She engineered a parasitic setup. She moved in, reduced her hours on purpose, milked you for rent and tuition, bought expensive gadgets timed to your bonuses, and kept an ex on the side while scripting sob stories about him. She treated you like a subscription service. Show enough affection to keep you paying, never enough honesty to be human. And when the mask slipped, she tried to use sob stories about trauma and grieving family to dodge responsibility. Gross and predictable. Don't feel bad for being strategic. She was strategic first. Do you have a similar nightmare? Share it with us in the comments. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.